This is a Ford Raptor, and this is Clean by Pan the Organizer. And today, I'm going to detail this incredible truck using only clean products. Let's get after it. Hey, what's going on, y'all? Eric with Charleston Detail, and welcome back to another single brand detail. If this is the first time joining us, this is our 10th in the series. We've featured brands from Koshimi to CarPro, Yum Cars, and more. So if you missed those, definitely check out that series. All right, so we've already got the interior blown out and vacuumed. It's now time to get everything clean and wiped down. And Pan's interior product is their interior quick detailer. And this product, like their others, is very clear what the product is. And so this product is super versatile. It's safe on glass, plastic, vinyl, leather, infotainment screens, and more. So it's definitely one of your more versatile interior cleaners. It's also infused with a ceramic polymer technology. So it's gonna give you, like I said, a little bit of protection and some light cleaning. So let's get to it. All right, y'all, so like I said, this is a very versatile product. It is safe for use on leather, plastic, vinyl, but it's not ideal for Alcantara. In fact, I would probably avoid that because of the protection in there. It's gonna over time stiffen the Alcantara. So not something that I would probably do. We're gonna use just a different cleaner because there's a lot of Alcantara on both the seats and on the door panels. So we'll use something else for that, but yeah, Pan's product, I mean, It seemed to be working great. It smells incredible. Does give a little bit of protection. Anti-static. Has some UV protection in there as well. So great for your dash and things like that. Also, another thing I really like about it is it's not putting a greasy, slick, residue on the surface. It's just a nice OEM finish. And that's what I'm looking for in an interior cleaner, or in this case, an interior detailer. And so, what's the difference between an interior detailer or a quick detailer and an interior cleaner? The long short of it is an interior quick detailer is not as strong, right? It's for maintenance cleaning. If you maintain your vehicle regularly, then that's what I use for my vehicle. So I never let it get really particularly dirty. If you do, there's a lot of great products for that. I like one by Labo Cosmetica. They have a really good interior cleaner. As well as P&S, their Express Interior Cleaner. It's a very powerful one. So that's something that you don't need all the time. But this quick detailer, yeah, it's pretty solid. All right, let's cue some good detailing music. All right, y'all, now that we're done with the interior, next up is the wheels and tires. And we're gonna get our wheel and tire bucket ready with Pan's shampoo. And I'll talk a little bit about that more when we get to the exterior, but it does recommend about 2 ounces in 4 gallons of water. I'm also cheating just a little bit. I'm gonna be using just a little bit of Green Star in my bucket to add a little bit of cleaning power for these wheels and tires. All right, let's get after it. All right, y'all, now that the wheels and tires are done, it's time for the exterior. And up first, we have their shampoo. And this is a pH neutral shampoo, a ton of slickness and lubricity. It has some extra wetting agents. It's also good to use in a foam cannon or a bucket. We'll actually be doing both today. There's no PFAs or forever chemicals. It's just a really solid shampoo, cleans well, and actually smells amazing. I've been using this since it came out about a year ago. This is now October of 2025, and they came out in September of 2024. So just over a year, and this was in the first release. He came out with several products in the initial release and has since kind of added some as he's gone on. In fact, there's a few more that are coming out in the near future. They're iron remover, and I believe another one as well. If you guys know, let me know in the comments. And up next, we have one of their brand new products, their demineralizing shampoo. And like most demineralizing shampoos, they are acid-based. This has a pH of 1 and is great at getting rid of water spots and mineral deposits. Also fantastic at refreshing your ceramic coatings. So ceramic coatings can get clogged over time, and using an acid-based shampoo like this is great at unclogging that ceramic coating. All right, and last up, we have their rinseless wash. And you certainly can wash your entire vehicle with this. I don't usually use a rinseless wash to do that. I love using it as a quick detailer, which we'll be doing today, or to use as a drying aid. So rinseless washes are very versatile. And like I said, you certainly can wash your whole vehicle with it. I tend to be in the camp that doesn't really prefer that, but his is fantastic. Some great surfactants in it, smells wonderful, and I've already got this mixed up in my IK for door jams later. All right, let's get our foam cannon ready. So Clean Shampoo suggests using 1 to 2 ounces of product in a full foam cannon. They say 1 for good foam or 2 ounces for super thick foam. So we'll split it in the middle and we'll use 1.5 ounces. All right, and like I said, we're also gonna cheat and use a little bit of Koshimi's Green Star. Hey, I would have used Pan's Alkaline Pre-Wash, but it's not out yet, so. All right, let's get it foamed up. All right, y'all, so now that we have it rinsed off, we're gonna use some of our pre-foam, our higher alkaline pre-foam in our foam cannon to clean our WeatherTech mats. All right, y'all, so it's time to refoam the vehicle. And this time we're just gonna use straight shampoo. We don't need our higher alkaline pre-wash. So we're gonna use, well, last time we used 1.5 ounces, and I'll admit, the MJJC foam cannon does produce a lot of foam, but that was a lot of foam. So I'm just gonna go with 1 ounce this time and see how that goes. So I will say, yeah, this shampoo does produce a ton of foam. And if your foam cannon already makes a lot of foam, like the MJJC, you might want to dial it back a little bit or use the lower end. All right, but before we get it refoamed, let's get our bucket ready. So for our wash bucket, we're gonna use 2 ounces for 4 gallons. All right, let's go. All right, y'all, and I like to go all in when I do these brand details. So we'll be using Pan's wash mitt. It's got all the Clean by Pan colors, really soft microfiber with 1070 GSM. Ooh, and I will say, this one has better or stretchier elastic. I don't know, maybe Pan has larger hands and he designed it this way, but I usually can't get my hand in wash mitts, like barely. So I tend to just end up holding them like a wash pad. But all right, well done, Pan. I can actually use your wash mitt as intended. All right, y'all, so we finished washing the vehicle and now it's time to do our decontamination. And at the moment, Clean by Pan doesn't have an iron remover, although I do know that it's coming out, I don't know exactly when, I think before the end of the year. So because of that, we'll be using one of my favorite iron removers. It's the Furies by Phoenix COD. And their whole product line is actually very incredible. I'll be doing a deep dive on that coming up soon. But for today, this will be our iron remover. We actually used it earlier on our wheels. All right, next up is one of Pan's newer products, and that's their water spot remover. And so we will be using that today for our decontamination when we're using our iron remover and our clay towel. Now, Pan does have a clay towel. I do not have that because it was sold out. So I did my best to get all the things, but we are missing that. Anyways, let's get our decon done. And so because I am working in direct sunlight, well, at least indirect sunlight, sort of, I do like to work a panel at a time just to ensure that the iron remover doesn't dry on the vehicle. All right, y'all, before we get the vehicle dried off, I wanted to talk briefly about Pan's ceramic spray sealant. And this is a truly incredible product. In fact, I used it yesterday on this client's Sprinter van, and the hydrophobics afterwards are really remarkable. But today we're not actually going to use it on the body because we're applying the 3-year ceramic coating. But this is a fantastic product to use for wheels. So we're going to apply it to the wheels. This is also an extremely versatile product. Not only can you apply it as a spray-on rinse-off sealant, like we did, but you can also use it as a drying aid, or you can use it on a dry vehicle with a microfiber towel. Very versatile, and I highly recommend trying it. All right, so it's time to get the vehicle dried off, and so we're gonna be using Pan's drying towel. And this actually has 2 different sides to it. One is an 80-20, and one is a 70-30, which is pretty cool. Incredible color. It's got the clean branding on it. And so yeah, they've got one side that is a longer knit, and one side that is a shorter knit. Very cool. All right. And I've talked about this platform in some of the other videos, but if you haven't seen them, this is a Werner platform. And I believe Gorilla makes one as well, but this is, in my opinion, paramount in detailing these large trucks. I'm 6'2", and I still struggle getting over them, even with this platform sometimes. So, yeah, highly recommend it. All right, y'all, before we start polishing, I want to talk about two more products. And the first is their Quick Detailer. And this is another one of their new products. This is super versatile and can be used on paintwork, glass, plastic, trim, chrome. And so we're going to actually use it on the door jambs as well as the glass, since right now Pan doesn't have a dedicated glass cleaner. But there's one more, Pan's Rinseless Wash. And I talked about it a little bit earlier with the exterior products, but I love using a rinseless wash in my IK as a quick detailer in the door jambs. I think it works exceptionally well. It also can be used on glass as well. So we'll actually be using the quick detailer and the rinseless wash. So I actually have an entire video where I washed a vehicle with Pan's rinseless wash. You can check it out here. And yeah, like I said earlier, I'm not a huge fan of using rinseless washes for entire vehicle washing. I like them as quick detailers, drying aids, things like that. So, but you know, each to their own. I think you know, all products have their utility depending on circumstance, you know, time of year, all that stuff. We'll say this quick detailer is super, super slick. It says it adds some gloss and a little bit of protection, so very cool. All right, so we finished doing the decon. It's now time to get the vehicle polished. And Pan has pads. He actually has 6, 5, and 3-inch pads. There are wool pads, polishing, and jeweling pads. These are the polishing pads. These are a collaboration with Buff and Shine. For those of you that are familiar with the brand, they're actually my favorite pads. So I was excited to hear that they were doing a collaboration. Buff and Shine makes some great pads. My actual favorite are the Edge Guard. They have a little bit of a lip, recessed lip, protects your backing plate, so you don't have any accidental slips. I think those are really cool. We'll be using both because I only have one of each pad, so I'll definitely be needing to use some of my Buff and Shine. I'll be using my Rupes DA as well as my Flex PXE. So we're gonna start off with the fine cut. The paint is really in decent shape. This is a new Raptor, and while it does have some scratches in a couple places, it's not too bad. So we're gonna be mostly just trying to get the paint jeweled, polished up, and looking beautiful. So if this paint was really in some bad shape, I definitely would have been reaching for my rotary. It's gonna do a lot more cutting. It's gonna save you a ton of time. Don't be afraid of a rotary. It's, I mean, it's what I grew up on. You know, there weren't as many options, certainly when I was younger, but the DA, yeah, I think is really pushed to people. And while it does a great job, it is usually my finishing tool. If you want to do some heavy cutting, the rotary is the way to go. All right, y'all, now that we finished polishing, it's time to prep it for coating. And we're gonna be using Pan's Panel Prep Spray. And this is a typical isopropyl alcohol spray, but it is a blend. So it's got some extra surfactants to help it lift the oil and polishes. All right, y'all, so now it's time to apply our ceramic coating. And Pan has both an 8-year ceramic coating and a 3-year coating. And we're gonna be using the 3-year coating. I hear he likes to underpromise and overdeliver, that this is likely much more than a 3-year coating. I've heard great things about its application and its durability. So while I'm getting this out, I will say that it has an absolutely insane cure time. It's water safe in an hour and then chemically resistant in about 7 days. So, I mean, you don't want to wash it or do anything like that for at least a week. You know, typically a lot of ceramic coatings are 14 days for something like that. So an hour water safe, that's nuts. And you also have a picture of Pan, you are a stud, sir. And it's also got an applicator in here. So I have some other suede applicators. I don't like to be limited to the one that I have in there. That way, if you need a second one, you drop one or something like that, you've always got more. All right, so Pan's Coating recommends applying in a crosshatch pattern, which is pretty typical. It's not coming out of there very fast. There we go. All right. does have some nice rainbowing effects. You know, we are outside. I know some people are gonna go nuts with that, but I've applied dozens of ceramic coatings outside, and while it's not ideal, the thing to think about is that it's just going to flash quicker. Today is sort of overcast for Charleston, and it's moderately warm or moderately cool. So this is about the best case scenario. Typically Pan's coating flashes in about a minute to two. I'd say that's gonna bring it down to probably like 15 or 20 seconds. So like most coatings, you want one towel to wipe the excess, and then we're gonna go back with a second one and we're gonna level it and just really make sure everything is perfect. You can see I'm working in a fairly small section. That way it's manageable. You can really pay close attention to everything going on, and I'm not gonna get any high spots. So something else you can use just to make sure you're not leaving any high spots is a light, like this one from Next LED. And this one has a special filter so that you can really check well and make sure you haven't left any coating. Like that was great, just caught a little high spot right there. And that can be harder to see outside. So that is something too, but with a light, with experience, no big deal. It does help that it's not the middle of the summer, dead middle of the day, sun overhead. You know, those things would make it challenging to impossible. But later in the day, cool, overcast, I think it's gonna be okay. And man, it's already super, super slick. Yeah, compared to the other area that we haven't coated. Wow. Well done, Pan. So I will say that this ceramic coating probably has some of the most obvious flash of any ceramic coating that I've ever used. Some of them are very, very hard to see, and this one is really quite obvious. I think that makes it, in my opinion, pretty beginner friendly. All right, y'all, now it's time to apply the tire dressing. And Pan's tire dressing is a solvent-based polymer dressing. It's got about a month of durability, gives you a nice satin finish, and let's get it applied. All right, so we've just finished up, and I think it turned out pretty incredible. What about you? Y'all, thank you so much for joining me today for another single brand detail. It was a lot of fun getting to use only Clean by Pan the Organizer products. I was really impressed with a lot of these products, and a few of these might even be my favorites. If there's any of these products that you would like, you can find them all at thehouseofrags.com. And be sure to use my code CD10 to save 10% off your order. Thank you so much, y'all, and as always, we'll catch you next time.